Welcome back to the farm, everybody. It's April 13th, and today we're planting sweet corn. All right, before we get started, just some quick facts about my corn planter. It's a 1979 John Deere 7000. I've been using it for over 20 years. It's been working great for me. This is a finger pickup unit, and I currently have it set at 22,000 seeds per acre. I've went as high as 24,000 in the past, but 22 seems to be a good starting point for us. And later in the season, we'll drop that down to about 18 or 19 until the end of the season. So I'll show you the varieties that we're planting here in just a few seconds. Pulling this corn planter with a 1964 John Deere 3020. My favorite tractor. I use it for everything on the farm. It's been in our family since probably 1964. All right, one thing special about my corn planter is that each liquid tank is something different. So I got 28% liquid nitrogen in that tank, and this one here is a starter pop-up fertilizer, like an 8-24-10 or something like that. I forget the analysis, but that dribbles right on top of the furrow, and the 28 goes 2 inches to the side and 2 inches down from the seed furrow. I'm going to start off at 1.5 inches depth today, and if I wanted to change the seed depth, this is where it's done at. Each hole represents 1/4 inch, starting from the top. You probably can't see that very well, but I have 6 holes showing, so I'll be at 1.5 inches. I do have insecticide in the 4 insecticide boxes. I only put down an insecticide over the seed furrow during the first 2 or 3 plantings. It's called Aztec. I used to use Lors Band 15G or a Pilot or Nufos, which are generic brands of Lors Band, but I think they took that off the market, so I use something called Aztec now. I don't like to use insecticides if I don't have to, but I have had a lot of corn wiped out by grubs and cutworms in the past, at least the early plantings. So I just use insecticide boxes for those first 2 plantings. But once I run out after those first 2 plantings, I no longer use any insecticide while planting. All right, let's talk about the seed varieties of choice for these first 2 plantings. We plant all super sweets on our farm. No sugar enhanced, no triple sweets, all SH2, augmented SH2s. So they have the tenderness of those sugar enhanced varieties and those triple sweets, but more sweetness and more corn flavor, in my opinion and many of our customers' opinions. This one here, Bolt. I absolutely love Bolt. It is by far the best early sweet corn I have ever planted in almost 30 years on our farm. It was hard to come by this year. A lot of big growers around the United States gobbled Bolt up, and there was very little to be found. I almost waited too long. The seed company I dealt with this year in Ohio didn't have hardly anything to give me. It was all spoken for and gobbled up early, like back in November. I usually put my order in December, so I'll remember that for next year. Get my order in November, because I do not want to miss out on getting Bolt planted for that first early slot. We got about 60,000 seeds from Gowan Seed. They've been treating me right these last couple years. That's a nationwide company. Originally they told me it was all spoken for, but they were able to find some extra supply from one of the other sales reps, and I was able to get my hands on about 3 or 4 acres of Bolt. Looking forward to picking it and eating that. It is good stuff. The number 2 slot this year is going to be Kickoff. Kickoff is about 3 days. I think it's about a 69-day variety. Bolt is about a 66, 67-day variety. That's under perfect weather conditions, of course. Kickoff comes on about 4, 5, 6 days, less than a week after Bolt, and it is absolutely amazing. I would rank it right up there with the top mid-season varieties that we plant later on. It is good stuff. It's a big ear, it's high off the ground, it's early, a great husk package, good tip closure. I mean, it yanks off the stalk easy. You just can't beat it for early corn. But what makes Bolt better is that it's even earlier. Now on these seed hoppers, you want to put some sort of graphite or a powdered lubricant of some kind in with the corn seed, or these finger pickup units down here. will get gummed up eventually and they'll stop spitting as freely. So this year we're trying something a little different. Seed plus graphite. Looks like we're going to be putting on 8 ounces to 100 pounds of sweet corn seed. So obviously I'll have to break that down because I'm not planting even close to 100 pounds of seed today. But it looks like it has some good stuff in there. I have no idea if it's going to be better or worse than regular graphite, but something I wanted to try this year. Anything that helps the crop pop up quicker and easier, it's worth a try, especially on a small scale like I do. It's not like I'm going to go out and trial this on 500 acres. You know, I'll be trialing it on several acres so we can get a good feel for how it does. What I should do is try a couple rows without it and a couple rows with it and do our own little on-farm trial, but we'll see. All right, let's get the corn seed in these hoppers and get this planter rolling. All right, if I break down this rate of 8 ounces to 100 pounds of corn seed, I'm going to put about 1 ounce in each hopper. Get that all mixed in and it'll help lubricate everything and hopefully help the corn out a little bit. Get this graphite all mixed in. All right, time to plant. So I just discovered a little leak. You can see the mud all build up on this closing wheel, and on the inside here it's all wet. The tire's all wet. So after a little investigation, I see a hole right there. It must have been rubbing. It's squirting out everywhere and making a mess. So I'm just going to try to tape that up real tight with some electrical tape. I bet it'll hold. Just not a lot of pressure there. There's one right there. And he's probably just barely 1 inch, but that's fine. Early sweet corn, we want to pop up quick. So 3/4 of an inch to 1 1/4 inches, I'm happy with that. Looks like we're good to go. All right, corn's going in pretty good. Got 12 rows done. This is about a 2.5 acre, 3 acre field. That'll be about half of what I'm doing today. And I'll probably move over here by the greenhouse or somewhere and put another 2 or 3 acres in. So first planting today, hopefully 5 or 6 acres. Ought to be a good chunk to start with. Overall, it's a great planter. Works great for my operation. And now we're going to do some high-speed planting. Well, we got 2.5 acres done. Just finished up that field down there. Went in really nice. One thing I forgot to mention, right there is my seed monitor. If you're not familiar with what a seed monitor is, it's the way we monitor whether all 4 rows are dropping seeds. Mine broke about 3 or 4 years ago and I was going to replace it, and I had to go out and plant while I was trying to determine which one I was going to get, and I realized I don't really need one. Usually my rows are so short that when I get to the end of the row and lift up the planter and turn around, I look down and look for the seeds that didn't get buried as the planter is being lifted up. So as long as I can see seeds at the end rows when I'm turning around, and while I'm driving, I can look down and see the chains on the sprockets turning. So those 2 things are all I need to ensure that all 4 rows are planting. Yes, I would prefer to have a monitor, but I guess I'm just lazy. This was worked fine for me, and I haven't bought a new one. I know they're expensive. I'll probably end up spending a couple grand on a good one. All right, time to go find some more dry acres. All right, the variety bolt is all on the ground. About 4.5 acres. I had about 85,000 seeds. Got just a little bit left, it looks like. Yeah, probably barely got 4 acres in. I'm gonna switch varieties to kick off and head back out for another 2 or 3 acres. So I had several people ask me in the past, why don't I upgrade my planter? I'm using a planter from 1979. It works fine for me. It plants my corn and beans and pumpkins, and I don't really want to go out and spend $35,000, $40,000 on a new 4-row planter. So we're gonna keep using this since it's working good for our operation. Another thing I failed to mention, on the 2 liquid fertilizer tanks, we are putting down 4 gallons to the acre on the pop-up starter on this tank, and that tank, which is the 28% nitrogen, it's probably putting on the same amount. It's supposed to be 6 or 8 gallons to the acre, but for some reason this High Pro roller pump that I have on here is just not as good as the squeeze pump system that came with the planter. I probably need to rework the system to get a more accurate amount of gallonage out of that tank per acre, but you know, it's putting on enough. Most of our nitrogen's applied through side dressing and spraying on the herbicide, so it's really not that critical. At least it's a few gallons per acre going on. The other thing about our farm that I didn't mention from the get-go is that we grow about 35 acres of sweet corn, if you were wondering. This first planting is going to be 6 acres. I'm going to be wrapping it up here in just a few minutes. We used to grow about 44, 45 acres in the past, but we've kind of settled on 35 over the last 5 or 6 years. Seems to be about the right amount for our operation. Alrighty folks, that's where we're going to wrap up today's video. Now that we have some corn seed in the ground, it's time to get some weed sprayed. And in about 2 weeks, we'll be putting out our first crop of green beans and laying plastic for all of our warm season vegetable crops. So lots of things happening around the farm this time of year. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you again real soon in the next farming video.